how to say, I will cover, my topic is, so why should manufacturers show products climate impact to customers? Well, we'll take a global view down to a product view of this. Let's first start with manufacturing. So manufacturing is, the foundation of the modern world. It's difficult to think about, living in a modern world without things like such as a mobile phone, for instance. And a mobile phone, it is, enabled by global supply chain and global manufacturing. However, at the same time, of course, manufacturing uses the Earth's resources, and there is actually only one truly environmentally sustainable manufacturing on the Earth, and that is the photosynthesis. Let's keep that in mind. The Earth doesn't need humans, as I used to say, but we need the Earth. So 20%, I think you also mentioned this, Susanne, in the beginning, that manufacturing is really, it's key to our society today, but it has a strong impact also, 20% of the total climate impact. And there are many companies now that have started to try to understand their own impact and also climate impact, and they work to reduce it because they want to reach carbon neutrality. And the new currency, so to say, to talk about is carbon equivalence. I'm sure you've seen this CO2e, which is carbon equivalence. But what is the sustainability outlook for manufacturing? There are different drivers today. There are regulatory drivers, but there are also some front runners among companies that see the possibilities with kind of pushing their more environmentally sound products. Let's look at the climate ambitions from different industries. This is a slide that shows the climate ambition measured as targets set for scope 1, 2, and 3 for different industries. The scope 1, 2, and 3 it's a terminology and used in the greenhouse gas protocol, which is an international standard. So it's a common language to kind of estimate your impact as a company or even a society. And if we look at this here, we can see that machinery and manufacturing companies, they have lower ambitions than almost all other industries in this survey. So and why is that? It's not fully clear, really. It could be because they are a bit far from the market where you see consumers today are interested in environmental footprint and so on products, and the public sector asking questions on sustainability in procurement, but it hasn't really hit or hasn't been really used yet by manufacturers of complex products. It's also very important to make a distinction with the scope 3, that scope 1 and 2 are your own emissions. So it's often what you get an invoice on, like your electricity bill, or maybe fuels that goes to the vehicles that are moving inside your factory gates. But the scope 3, that's the impact of everything you buy to produce your products, and also when you put your products on the market, the impact they have. So upstream and downstream scope 3. And this is it's much more difficult to estimate, but it's also usually the biggest impact, not for all companies, but for many companies. And we will hear more about scope 3 moving forward. So that was industries where they are today, so to say. But legislation then, what is happening? Well, if we see in the EU, for instance, in April 2021, the European Commission adopted a legislative proposal for corporate sustainability reporting. directive. And in late 2022, the Financial Advisory Working Group in the EU, they released the first draft of reporting standards. And large companies will have to adhere to these standards when decided upon already in 2025. And they take the standards, they say that you have to understand your full impact, not only your own, but also upstream and downstream in the supply chain, which means the scope 3. So in this way, understanding scope 3 is kind of connected to your abilities also to getting financed to for investments, because this is done. We see this legislation taking effect and coming into effect because it's an opportunity for the financial sector to guide the money to the best type of industry, so to say. And of course, this changed. It's always a cost when you have to change something. So both the EU and the US have released lots of funding, not unconditionally, of course, because you have to apply for the funds. But for green technology, so to say, there are huge funds available. For instance, the EU have put aside $270 billion. And in the US, the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA, it contains $400 billion to for companies that want to invest in this. So let's see, what are the trends then, moving forward to the trends? So we at Tacton, we've done a trend survey. We are looking at the outlook for our industry in many different areas. And one of these is, of course, sustainability. And as Susanne mentioned, we see that, 63% of the manufacturers we have surveyed, they see that sustainability is important for them today and can be even more important moving forward. They have also seen, as the pie chart here shows, that there's a huge increase actually in the demand from customers to be able to show environmental product data together with the product when you sell the product. And then the last graph says, points to that more than half are aware of these IT managers and other types of managers that we have interviewed. They are aware that the legislation requiring environmental product information will be mandatory soon. But also we can see that 43% are not aware, and that's interesting because Gartner says in their report, Gartner predicts 2022, that it is the IT managers of manufacturing companies that will have to enable the company to do sustainability reporting. So there is also another trends study from iPoint here, and I'm happy, thank you for letting me share this. It is the world's largest sustainability and compliance survey with 800 respondents. And what they see is they have looked into so how does company try to handle their compliance processes, and they've seen a high increase in the use of software, which of course is something that's interesting because that's what we talk about today. And also they've asked, if you don't set a carbon reduction target, why don't you set the carbon? I mean, what's lacking, so to say? And here the companies that they've interviewed, and I must say this is also a broader scope than for the Tacton, because iPoint has gone into electronics and chemicals and other types of industries. One answer is that there is no believed competitive advantage, and one other is the lack of knowledge. So that's kind of the same as we could see in our study from Tacton. Okay, so what is this then, and why do I show this one? Well, as I started to say in the beginning, manufacturing is the kind of basis of the modern society, and this is a baking machine. So, how do you actually, and it comes with lots and lots of product variants, and this is where configuration comes in. When you need a complex product, and there's lots of complex products out there that supports our society. You need to be able to, I mean, most that have the need of a baking machine, they don't know exactly what it's made up of and all the components and stuff. They need some help. So I'm going to go more into configuration here, and this is Tacton's bread and butter, as you say. The configuration. We help manufacturers of complex products to kind of showcase their products to the customer and configure them. So this is a demo from Parker Lift. So it's that company doesn't exist, but it's a good demo. And here, what you can do is you can kind of you can specify number of passengers. You can specify number of floors. You specify the product, and you specify how you want to use it rather than exactly what it's built or made up of. And also, if you specify things like low noise required, that means that That means that there is a kind of a max limit on the speed. So when you select a few things, you lock other options without really knowing it. That's guided selling. So you can also configure for specific use. In this case, it's a hotel chain, let's say, and there's a building manager that kind of works for this hotel chain, and she wants to specify and buy a new elevator. So she knows that it's going to live for 25 years and add this. And she also knows it's going to work in Chicago. And there, when she specifies Chicago, the configurator goes out and can, since this configurator in this demo is connected and integrated with an LCA tool, it goes to the LCA tool, and then it picks the kind of electricity mix from Chicago and displays it here for the customer. The nice thing with this is also that we will hear more about life cycle assessment later on here, but usually you do assumptions like the elevator will be used for maybe 20 years, that's the standard, and so on. But if you are a customer, you can add the usage data that you know you will have. And in this case, the building manager for this hotel, she knows how this will, because she has tens of years of experience. She will upload, as you can see in the middle of this page, the exact data, which means that the LCA, the life cycle assessment of this product, will be better than what you can get from the elevator company without adding your specific use data. Then comes to this new thing. What we really want to push is, how do you connect, or rather, when you have connected your configurator with the life cycle assessment tool and focusing on the climate impact, because a life cycle assessment can give you many different results, or in different impact categories, so to say. If you concentrate on the climate impact, we see here that the normal material used in this second stage, the technical configuration, the normal material is steel, and then when you've selected some other things here, maybe like the motor and stuff, the calculation is done, and we are currently working with a large vendor that are very, very knowledgeable in LCA calculations and assessments. So the data from this interface goes to the LCA tool, and then the tool reports back this calculated value of about 1 ton or 1,016 kilos of carbon dioxide equivalents. But, okay, let's see, what if this hotel, the building manager at the hotel, she knows that there is an option to use more recycled steel. And of course, much steel is already recycled today, but maybe you can increase it a bit more even. So she tries to select that. And then the calculation is made again on the environmental impact, and now the configurator shows 861 kilos. So there is a clear difference here. And the different colors in this bar, they indicate the different life cycle stages. So by this, we want to kind of enable B2B customers what you can do as a B2C customer. Because today you can, if you go to a grocery or whatever, you can choose your hand washing soap based on an eco-label, probably. But that hasn't really been used in the B2B sector. And this is what is kind of new today that we present this. So why is this so thrilling then that you have this 861 kilos of carbon dioxide and you get it together with the documentation that comes out of the CPQ, the configure price quote? Well, it's because you can use that figure. Both the manufacturer, so Parker Lifts that manufactures the lift, and this hotel building manager, she can use it in the reporting for the hotel chain. And I've circled here the purchase goods and the capital goods, because somewhere there the elevator fits. And that is, so it depends on if you're the elevator company or the customer where you would report the data, or part of the data that you actually get with the configurator. So that is, that is the. I'm sorry for going back and forth there. I think that's the key thing. So just to conclude, why do we want to, enable? Why do we want to enable manufacturers to showcase, environmental data per product? And that's because then they can push their best products, and the customers can buy these and use these, and then we address this 20% that I showed in the beginning, the 20% impact of manufacturing. And as an additional benefit, it can be used in reporting. Yeah, I think that actually summarizes. As we said, we have seen an increase in demand for environmental information per product. That's what our trend report shows. And there are different types of legislations, either in force or coming around the corner in just a few years.